Hello, everybody. Lewis, Norwich City Central. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Premier League. I think that's the best way to say it. I hope you guys are all well. Joined again for the second episode of the NCC show by Duka. Duka, how are you doing, mate?
I feel a bit worse aware today, a bit hungover, but you know what? Despite the result yesterday, it was absolutely fantastic being back at Carrow, full capacity. You know, we were loud until about 3-0, but no, it was great. It was great being back. That on the ball city as well. That was the best on the ball city I've ever heard.
It was spine tingling, wasn't it? The noise, the colours. Yeah, it was just a really, really good day, mate, wasn't it?
Oh, it was fantastic. Despite the result, you know, I think we always knew that the result was kind of, that's pushed towards the back of our heads. I think the main focus was enjoying ourselves back at Carrow Road, back with the fans, back with people that, you sit next to, the season ticket holders, I haven't seen people for 18 months who are sat next to. It's great seeing them again. And it was just fantastic being back. And it's just a social aspect, I think, yesterday that football fans like ourselves have missed. Rather than the results. We've seen the shit results with Norwich, during the first lockdown in the Premier League. So we know what the shit results are like, but we don't know what the feeling of being back around your mates that go football, being back in the stadium with loads of fans. That's the feeling that we all missed, and we got that. And we got that yesterday. That's all we could ask for.
Yeah, and it was a really, really interesting game. We'll be discussing Liverpool, we'll be discussing Man City, and we'll answer all your questions as well. Thank you for all the support on episode 1 of the episode. Really enjoyed it and had a lot of great feedback from it and from people watching it live and afterwards as well. So if you are watching this live, hello. If you are watching on a catch up, hello as well. I guess I think that's the best way to say it. Duka, how are you doing? Firstly, I might have already asked.
You already asked that. But yeah, no, I'm good now. I'm focused on Man City. I've seen what I've seen yesterday and kind of made sort of my assumptions on who we should start going forward in our front line. I'm good. How about yourself? How are you?
Yeah, I think I'm doing well. The result was pretty depressing. I mean, we all know Liverpool are an excellent side, and I thought Norwich actually played quite well. But yeah, as you say, it was just brilliant to be back at Norwich in terms of the social aspect, and you just miss all those little mini things you do at Carrow. You almost forget about them. And yeah, it was a great day. Thank you for all your support. Duka, of course, is a YouTuber. Duka, do you want to quickly plug your channel?
So obviously, similar to the last time you watched the last live stream, I'm a Norwich fan, Norwich-based content, similar to what Lewis does, but I guess also do a few things that are a bit different as well. But obviously, go ahead over there, go subscribe. I'm guessing is there a link in the description?
I think so, mate. Yeah.
The link should be in the description. If not, it's my name, the name that you can see on screen. That's the name of my channel. I've got my matchday experience from yesterday. That'll be out at about 8 p.m. between 8 and 9 p.m. tonight. That'll be out. So go check that out when that's out. So go subscribe to the notification bell. I'm a bit late on the whole matchday experience today. I've been hanging out my ass a bit, so I've had to kind of bring myself out of bed to edit it, and I'm nearly done with it, so it should be up. It will be up shortly.
Definitely. But yeah, Liverpool. Let's start with that, mate. As I said, a really good day. We've spoken about the social aspect of it. In terms of the game, obviously a disappointing result. But in terms of the performance, I think there's some positives to take, mate, wasn't there?
Oh, 100% some positives to take from this performance. And then there's a few players in there that I was like, do you know what? They look the real business, don't they? Dimitris Giannoulis is one of them.
Oh, it's brilliant to see him in the flesh.
Absolutely fantastic. Defensively and going forward. Obviously, I think for the third goal, there was a partial blame on him for not closing down Salah quick enough. But I think that's very much, I don't think it's really worth crying home about. The game was already dead and buried by that point. And I think every man on that pitch in a Norwich shirt was absolutely knackered. But apart from that, Giannoulis was absolutely fantastic. As an attacking outlet, he was one of our best. And another player that I thought did really, really well for us was Milo Rashica. He was a constant threat to Tsimikas. Tsimikas didn't know what to do. There's a video going viral on the internet where he absolutely sits Tsimikas on his arse. He's great with Rashica. I really do rate him. And obviously, I think his end product, his crossing was great. But then at the same time, was there anyone in the box to cross for him? No, so it was touch and go. But as an attacking outlet, he looked like our biggest threat. Well, Angie Anulis, our left back.
Yeah.
But even in the middle part, I thought Gilmore, Lees-Malou, and Rupp looked fairly good up to about the 60th minute, and then kind of capitulated. But probably because of tired legs. But out of the three, I think the one that stood out for me was Rupp. If I'm honest, I thought Rupp's link-up play was absolutely fantastic. There was a few occasions where we saw Lees-Malou and Rupp push forward, and the link-up play between them, Cantwell, Rashica, and Pukki was fantastic at one stage. Towards the end of the first half, I can remember, I just said to the guy next to me, we're playing like vintage Brazil against one of the best teams in England. Obviously, the result kind of absolutely abolishes that statement. But it was at one point in the first half, I just remember Rupp and Lees-Malou just taking a piss, really. 1-0 down.
I think people from the Lucas Rupp Appreciation Society would be really very happy with that performance, mate. Just really a lot of positives to take. We started the game on the front foot, didn't we? I think we tried to play out from the back. I mean, we continued to do it throughout the whole game, really, but you really saw us still trying to play out the back, playing between the thirds. It was a really good stuff. I think from the 25th minute, Liverpool started to grow in the game, they're very good. Liverpool. Cameron wasn't even a bad performance. Just Liverpool were brilliant. I thought Liverpool were really good. Also from Cameron, the goals were very unfortunate. Well, two of them. I think the first goal, we were doing well. It was quite an even first 25 minutes, and then you just see that Salah kind of miss control, and it falls to Jota.
It's the worst goal to concede as well, because there's nothing you can do about it. Hanley steps out, not expecting Salah to miscontrol it, because Salah on the ball is one of the best players in the Premier League with the ball at his feet. So Hanley steps out, allows that gap for Salah to have a complete mistouch, doesn't even know what he's doing, and it falls to Jota. It was unfortunate. I think Cameron's hit the nail on the head there. We weren't bad. We weren't bad at all. There's so many positives to take. Obviously, there's a few negatives as well, which I'm sure we'll touch on. But on a realistic note, I think the positives outweigh the negatives of yesterday, and that you don't say that a lot after a 3-0 loss.
Yeah, exactly. And the second goal as well was a counter attack where Mane has a dodgy shot. And I think Hanley blocks it falls straight to Salah, who then into Firmino. So there was an element of luck about some of the goals. But no, as you said, mate, the first 25 minutes really promising. It was really great to see that three in the middle of Lees-Malou, who is just a beautiful player to watch, Billy Gilmore and Lucas Rupp really do some good things in the midfield. When you have to play Liverpool, you have to match them for the work rate. You have to get stuck in and break up the play. And I thought we did that on a lot of occasions. I
think we did it for the first hour, and then I think the tired legs came in. Obviously, you haven't had a full pre-season due to the whole COVID situation. So, I think the first hour we started getting tired legs, and that's when the two goals came in quick succession near enough. So, kind of killed the game off there.
I think that second goal was, as I say, there was an element of luck about it, but in terms of how easily they managed to cut us open with Mane driving through the middle, I definitely agree. But when you play against these top teams, mate, it's one of those cliche things to say, but you've got to be clinical and you've got to have a bit of luck on your side. And I think Norwich had a very, very good opportunity. And the more I've looked it back, the more I think it's an even better.
Ben Gibson one, isn't it?
You had the Ben Gibson one, but
and then the Pukki one.
The Pukki one in the first half. The Cantwell ball in behind. Pukki he's got to be one of the best strikers I've seen in the ability to time his run and run in behind. And it was a really good chance, mate, wasn't it?
It was, and I look at that chance now, and it just screams Kane Sterling to me. I see with Rashica, right? We swear, just put the ball across Rashica's there, his goal. And obviously, Pukki being a striker, being the hungry goal scorer that he is, he's always going to shoot from that position. But I'm still, somewhere in my head, is still annoyed at him for not squaring that pass over to Rashica.
I think if he lifts his head up there, he's going to square it.
Yeah,
he's that player.
And then I think at that point it's 1-0 Norwich. So
yeah. I mean, and then that's fine margins, isn't it, mate? Because Liverpool then go up a few minutes later and get their goal. But on that subject of Teemu Pukki, I don't think there's any area of concern, and I don't think there's area of concern with a lot of these performances, because a lot of these players haven't had a pre-season. This is Rasika's first proper 90 minutes, Grant Hanley's first proper 90 minutes, and there's lots of positives to take.
Isn't it?
What's that, mate? Sorry?
I think it's even Pookie's first proper 90 minutes as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think he just wasn't. He wasn't that great yesterday.
I thought he was okay. I thought the movement. He was willing. I think he tired dramatically in and around the 60th minutes. A lot of them
tired very, very quickly. And I just don't think he was as hungry as what I think he knew. He hasn't had the preseason minutes. He hasn't had. He knew he didn't have the legs to kind of have the work rate that he usually does. I don't think he did. The runs and behind were there. That's no doubt. That's trademark Pookie, isn't it? But he also had that work rate where he'd close down defenders, close down the goalkeeper whenever he's on the ball, put him under pressure. He didn't do that yesterday. He didn't, and it was too it was too easy for Liverpool to play around the back. We didn't press them high enough, and we needed to, because you know what Liverpool are like on the ball. As soon as they get the ball into the midfield, they're one ball over the top into Mane or Salah, and then hell breaks loose, as we saw many times. But at the same time, I thought when we brought Adam Eder, he looked hungry, he looked aggressive. Van Dijk and Matip were struggling, and then Josh Sargent as well. Josh Sargent, he's got to start next weekend. He has to. He was fantastic.
Yeah, we'll get on to Man City, mate. Yeah, I understand what you're saying about Pookie. I thought he was good in the first half. Okay, maybe his pressing wasn't as at the level it normally is, but I think he was still making those runs in behind. But I think there is a strong case to start Adam Eder or Josh Sargent in the next game. And to be honest, would you say, Duka, mate, that it's almost obviously this has been one of the worst pre-seasons for Norwich in a long while because of COVID and because of just the inability to plan properly. But I would probably argue it's a good thing. We've been playing some of the tougher teams. Get Liverpool, Man City out the way. When you haven't necessarily got the legs, because if we was playing a Brentford or Watford at the start of the season, that's already a 6-pointer where it could be absolutely huge. So I'd argue it's actually good in terms of how the fixtures have come about in terms of playing as hard as first.
100% agree. But again, obviously you want to win all your football games, but I think having the difficult teams at the start in the situation we're in, I think we've got to look at, we have to look at it positively. Obviously we'll go to Man City, we'll put up a fight, I'm sure we will. And fingers crossed we can get something out there. I mean, I've been watching the Tottenham Man City game, obviously still currently going on. It was 1-0 Spurs last time I saw. And
I think it's done now, mate. I think Tottenham won it.
Yeah, Tottenham won. Yeah, so Man City, they haven't had a great start either. So, we may be able to go over there and pick something up. But obviously, like you say, with the bigger teams coming up now, we can actually have a fully fit, hopefully fully fit squad for. I
don't think I've ever heard fully fit in Norwich.
Yeah. But I hope we get a fully fit squad for when we play one of the relegation candidates among us.
Yeah, definitely. Evening. Hope you're all doing well. I'm proper happy that Rasika and Sargent played well. They're both really promising. It's really interesting on these players. We've got our offensive players now, Rashica, Sargent and Zulis, who I'm sure is going to have an incredible impact. Have pretty much all been invested for that Buendia replacement. And two of the three of them are quite young. And maybe unfortunately for them, they are going to have to hit the ground running because of the nature of the price tag and the nature of the Premier League. But yeah, we spoke about Sheeta doing some really good things, and the cameo Josh Sargent made, who's very good at right back, and all I'm going to say with that as well. But no, they both look really promising, didn't they?
All I'm saying is that in the 12 minutes of football I saw, I'm already convinced that Josh Sargent is going to be the best Premier League striker this season. I'm calling it now.
And best right back as well, mate.
We played right back, right mid, and then up front. He is literally the ginger James Milner. Or James Milner is the non-ginger him. Who knows?
I think I'd go with the latter one there, mate. But no, and there's a really interesting argument. I mean, we've spoken about the positives from the game from a Norwich City perspective. Perhaps some of the look, it is Liverpool. It's a really tough game, but perhaps some food for thought going forward. Is in going forward. Obviously, we've lost Buendia, and in the Premier League last time we struggled for goals. And for me, when we both said it in the concourse, probably maybe Norwich lacked in the first half was a runner running in behind, someone in that number 10 who can run in behind and help support. Because there were so many occasions where Rashica would skin his man, and there's no one in the box. And Pookie was also kind of running in behind as well. So I think there's a strong argument that perhaps moving forward, could you play Josh Sargent in the number 10 role just for some extra legs in the box?
I think, and I said the exact same thing that what Farke put out his team as, 4-3-3, no number 10. We were both wrong. Me and Daniel Farke were both wrong in that decision, I guess. I think what we should have done is play Lucas Rippers as a 10. We saw in the championship he could do that. He's a very good creative player. His link-up play is fantastic. And just having someone just in, pushing Pookie forward, pushing him onto that last defender where you've got maybe one or two players then in the box. So Rashica can do that. Get that ball in and actually create an obvious goal scoring opportunity from it is what we needed. I think it wasn't necessarily the players that we had on the pitch, it's just the formation we went with, and it was the wrong one. But the fact is I can understand what Daniel Farke did it on a defensive minded aspect, but going on the attack we did struggle because we didn't have we usually have 4 players in that attacking sort of sequence. Obviously very, very quick going forward, so we only had 3 this time, which we were missing a player. And I think if we played maybe Rook as a 10, I think we could have seen a more attacking Norwich, and I think a more effective Norwich going forward as well yesterday. But I think definitely there's an argument to play Josh Sargent as number 10, but I think he'd just end up at right back at some point.
He's kind of drifting towards that way, wasn't he? Yeah, I agree with a lot of that, mate. The team news was exactly how you called it, which was interesting. But yeah, I think going forward, just a couple more bodies in the box would really help. And I know it's Liverpool. You've got to be working so hard throughout the middle of the pitch. But yeah, going forward, a couple more bodies in the box, and I think it's going to be so exciting when you've got Zulis on one wing, Rashica on the other. That could be so dangerous. But yeah, I just think from my perspective, just some late runners running in the box, because there's been many occasions where, particularly in the first half, you're just wanting Norwich maybe just risk it a little bit more. And obviously against the teams who are going to be in and around us, like Arsenal, we've got in a few weeks, and we're going to need to do that, aren't we?
100%.
I love how I made the Arsenal drive there, mate, and there was no back. Arsenal are going to be in this relegation battle.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. No, I'm being serious. They're going to be in this relegation battle, 100%.
They look so cool.
Ben White's the most overrated centre half, he's just a shit Ben Gibson. But could we play 2 up top? Could we?
Sargent and Pookie. Would you do it?
I would. No, I would. I think Leeds, Malou and Gilmore are athletic enough to play as a 2 in midfield. Have Sargent maybe drop off Pookie a little bit, but play a 2 up front. Yeah. With Zolis and Rashica down the wings, you've got 2 Fox in the boxes.
I think there's a strong mate. That's spine tingling. That's good.
It does get me going. I'll tell you that now.
I love that from you, mate. And there's an argument from Campbell, maybe in the number 10 as well going forward. Looked very lively. Obviously not his best game, but looked confident. There was a swagger. He tries a shot from the halfway line.
That went in.
Alisson was worried for a second. Honestly, Alisson was worried for a second. Let's get some more comments. Lily, what's painful is that Brentford and Watford are better than us in attack with Mbembo, Tony, Sarr, and Dennis. Really interesting one. I mean, we've spent the 30 million now. Are they better than us in attack, Brentford and Watford, Duka?
No, of course they're not. They're on par. I think, a few of them are on par. Watford, do they have an out-and-out goal scorer? No, they don't.
I mean, they scored 3 goals at the weekend, though, didn't they? Would that show their attack's not doing good things? Villa have got
I'm not saying it is, but this first game of the season, you can't really look too much into it. 10 games in the season, if they've got an out-and-out goal scorer that's getting 10 league goals a season, fair play.
It's not always about having an out and out scorer, because we had Pookie in that 11 goals and there was no one else. So no one helping him. You need players.
But I think we know with Watford they've got Ismail Assar, who we know is going to contribute with goals, and they've got Emmanuel Dennis, who you know is going to contribute with goals. You've got that Hernandez geezer who scored as well yesterday. He's fantastic. He's not a striker, but he'll contribute with goals. But what they need is an out and out striker, which is what Brentford have in Ivan Toney. But they are in a similar position to what we were in 2 seasons back. Obviously, they beat Arsenal. Fantastic result. They caused an upset. Well, is it an upset? Arsenal are absolute dog shit. So maybe not. But, they've got an out-and-out striker. But have they got anyone apart from him?
Probably not.
Exactly. It was just a similar position to where we were 2 seasons back, I believe. But no, all respect to Brentford for beating Arsenal. Really good result. And all respect for Watford for beating Villa. Again, a really good result. But I don't think their attacks are better than us. I don't. I think it's on par. Zolis is a cracking player. We haven't seen him. Rashica, we know, he sat Simicast on his arse. Pookie, we know what he's like on his day. Todd Campbell, we know he's fantastic, and he's also Premier League proven. And then, the other attacking players, we've got Kieran Dow, Onel Hernandez, who we know can turn it up in his day. We've got plenty of attacking talents, and I wouldn't say Watford and Brentford are better than us. I think rightly so, they're probably on par, but they're not better.
Yeah, and there's an argument as well that obviously we've got all these players to come in. So what we've seen what these Brentford players can do and Watford players can do in the Championship, but we've almost had a slightly new look attack with these new players coming in. So I think it's sometimes hard to say right now. As an outsider, do you get annoyed by Farke's constant late subs? And an interesting one. We've spoken about the game in good depth. I think in the first hour, there's plenty of positives to take, with the midfield being really solid and some really good performances. Maybe in the offensive positions, we'd like to see a couple more players get forward and a number 10 link up the play. But yeah, lots of positives to take. Obviously, a few negatives here and there. But do you think the substitutions were a little late from Farke in this one, mate?
That's the one thing that really, really grinded my gears yesterday was the subs. You could see after hour mark. Yeah, I think they scored in the 65th minute, Liverpool. Yeah. That hour mark hit. I'm looking at players. I'm looking at lethargic players. We're not offering anything going forward at that point. Pookie is he's shattered. Rashica's shattered. Rashica put in a shift, but he was shattered. You could tell one of the midfielders needed to go off as well, so we could bring someone more attacking on, so we can go forward a bit more and actually press Liverpool a bit in the 60th minute and give them a good go. And those subs needed to be made in the 60th minute, at least two of them.
I think particularly when you look at the pre-season as well, Norwich have had where it's so disrupted. As we mentioned, Pookie, Rashica, limited minutes. I would have gone Josh Sargent earlier. I probably would have gone, Kieran Dowell on Adam Eder maybe a bit earlier as well. I just think the subs were a little late in this one.
I think the substitutes of Adam Eder and Josh Sargent were very, very good substitutes.
Adam Eder was bullying Virgil van Dijk. It was quite incredible to see.
Why are we doing that 3-0 down? It didn't take us 1 goal down. It didn't take us 2 goals down. It took us 3 goals down to make a substitute. That pissed me off. He's got to be quicker on that. It just frustrates me because we want to change games. We want to be effective in games. We want to put a stamp mark. There's no point going 3-0 down and be like, okay, now we can make a change and actually try go for the game and actually now we'll try and make a stand for it. Because the fact is, we created 2 or 3 really good chances when Eder and Sargent were on. Sargent had that shot. Gibson had that wonderful chance. It was a goal-mouth scramble. I thought it was in, and it was a bit depressing, but it just summed up the day, I guess. But yeah, we created chances though. We were a lot more bullish, a lot more aggressive. We pressed higher, and we looked better after 3-0.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And And that's the thing going forward. I mean, there's so many incredible things to talk about Daniel Farke. He is the best Norwich manager I've had in my lifetime. But yeah, substitutions, particularly in the nature of what's happened before for this Norwich City game, I think probably would have been a better result. But finally on Liverpool, mate, any final thoughts? And maybe going forward, of course, this Man City game is going to be a very difficult one. But going forward, plenty of positives to take. What was the kind of the main positives and perhaps main things to work on from that Liverpool game?
I think tactically, we've got something to work on. Obviously, fitness, we know that's not going to come for another few games. I think tactically, we need to set up right. We need to make sure the players know what they're doing. I think we know who's going to be aggressive, who's going to fight, who's going to have that hunger, who's going to press high now. Obviously, when we saw Eder come on for Pookie, he had that. Whereas Pookie didn't. He may have it next week, which is great. He might have that his mojo back. Fantastic. But I think we also know that we now need a number 10. We do. That hole was just not filled. And we need someone in that hole, maybe stick Rook higher, because I think Rook deserves to start again. I don't think there should be many changes apart from Sargent coming in or Eder up front. If I'm honest, I think Pookie should be dropped. Yeah, I think Pookie should be dropped. That's going to be harsh. But yeah, no, I think he has to be. I think, Sargent and Eder created more in the 12 minutes they were on. Pookie did in the whole 90. I think Pookie had that one chance. I think Sargent, there was 2 really good opportunities, Sargent and Gibson's opportunity when they came on. So, I think there's so many positives to take. There's a few negatives, but I think we know how to counteract them now going into Man City, and hopefully we can do well there.
Yeah, and you've got to remember Liverpool are, a quality team, particularly with Van Dijk back now, Trent back. They had some real difficulties last season and still finished third. And Liverpool put in a really good performance, and I think they're going to get, like they did 2-3 years ago, that 90 plus point easy. I think they're a very good team. So plenty of positives to take. Going forward, I'm just so excited to see, fingers crossed, Norwich City play the 4-2-3-1 with Rashida, Zulis, and maybe go with Josh Sargent and Pookie, or Cantwell and Pookie. But there's lots of positives to take. And I'm looking forward to seeing how we do. Duka, do you want to take the conversation with Man City, because I know you're going to it.
Thing on the Liverpool subject. Yeah, I'm a lot more confident we're going to stay up after the 3-0 loss than I was before the game. That's what I'm going to say. I'm a lot more confident. Yeah, but anyway, Man City.
Why?
Oh, why? Okay, here we go. Well, I think there's positives to take. I'm seeing a different side that came up 2 years ago. The side that came up 2 years ago were obviously we conceded 3 goals, but I think in the first 60 minutes defensively, apart from that goal, which was so unlucky to concede as well, we looked sound defensively. We defended every corner. They scored from one corner, obviously, in the 75th minute, when we were already dead on our feet. But I think that first hour, when we were, not tired, we looked good defensively and going forward.
It felt like they had about 20 corners as well in that first half.
Oh, yeah, I was scared every single one. I was just dreading it. But, yeah, I think we'll stay up.
I love that, mate. I love that from you. Do you want to take the conversation away about Man City? I know you'll go into it, and yeah. I mean, there's a few injuries. Man City lost today, but it's going to be an interesting one, mate.
I just really hope they don't sign Harry Kane before the game. With Man City,
legend.
I think Man City are going to be easier to defend against. A lot easier. They haven't got an out-and-out striker, or a good one at that. Not a world-class one. Obviously, Liverpool had Jota, who was fantastic last season, and Firmino, who come off the bench. Who they've got? Gabriel Jesus. Yeah, no, not that great. Aaron Torres up front. Pookie's better than him. I think obviously in midfield, Man City are absolutely fantastic. On the wings and midfield, the players they've got are incredible. And there's no doubt about that, but they haven't got that out-and-out striker. So I think defensively, maybe it's going to be a bit easier for us in that sense. I think going forward, I think there are mistakes in this Man City side, just as there were in that Liverpool side. We saw a few, we did create a few chances. And like I say, I think Josh Sargent or Adam Eder needs to start up top. There's someone a bit more aggressive that's going to put Diaz and whoever else is playing centre-half, I think it's Stones, under a bit of pressure, because I know Stones is liable to an odd mistake. I'm sure Ruben Diaz is as well. We saw him at the Euros. He weren't fantastic, was he?
There's some unpredictability, isn't there, in these early games? In terms of fitness, and that's something Norwich City might be able to exploit. But I mean, how on earth are Norwich going to beat Man City, Dicker? What is the game plan?
Well, let's roll it back 2 years ago, mate. Let's roll it back 2 years ago.
Yeah, let's do that. Actually, yeah.
We would have looked at each other. We would have seen the team. We'd have seen 11 players out, 11 first-team players out. We've got Man City at home. I think they've just won the Premier League. And we're looking to each other like, how the fuck are we going to win this game? Like, I knew Norwich fans that were backing 7-0 on the bookies. 7-0 Man City. It
was looking bad.
It was looking bad. We went on 1-3-2 and put in the performance of our lifetimes. Who says we can't do it again? Yes, it's away from home. This is going to be difficult. But the fact is, I think we've got the players now. We've got the quality inside to cause a shock. And we could have done yesterday on another day. If chances fell to us in the right places, we could have scored. But that goal went in at 0-0 from Pookie.
Different game. And what's interesting on that point as well, we've spoken about it before. I mean, it's really hard to know how Norwich City are going to set up this season, but what I think we're more inclined to see going forward is Norwich City playing with more pace on the counter-attack. And I feel like when you're playing against a team like Man City, who are going to have a lot of the ball, having someone like Rashida, having someone like Zulis, who could come in for his first Norwich game, just players who are going to make Man City run backwards. I think that could be something which is really interesting. So yeah, on that counter-attack with Rashida, perhaps Zulis, maybe Adam Eder up front. I think there's that's kind of something where Norwich City can exploit, mate. That kind of pace. And Man City, as you say, there are areas there to exploit, despite
their world-class prowess. 100%. And also, like on another note, Josh Sargent, he's quick as well. He's quick, strong, and powerful. I was really, really impressed. And you know what? If we stick him up front, just you can just launch balls in behind and just body Ruben Diaz, just like knock him out and just run after the ball. It won't be a foul. The ref will just play advantage because he's from USA and just let him score.
Fantastic. That's it, mate. That's it. I mean, and I mean as well, you know, we've got someone like Todd Cantwell, you know, Jack Grealish has, you know, pictures of him on his bedroom wall, doesn't he? I'm looking forward to see Todd absolutely kill it going forward this season. He just looks so confident.
He does. He didn't have the greatest game against Liverpool. I won't lie. He wasn't at always best, but he created opportunities still. He worked hard. He worked his socks off, and you can't deny that. He'll always put 100% effort in. Yes, maybe technically he didn't have his greatest game. Maybe it wasn't his game to play in. But, you know, he still created that chance of Puka lifting a beautiful ball over the top. So as much as maybe, you know, Cantwell didn't have the greatest game yesterday, he'll still put that 100% effort in, and maybe Man City is going to be his game.
Yeah, definitely. I strongly agree with that. I mean, yeah, in terms of, yeah, I mean, Max, I feel like you're reading my mind because I was literally just about to put this question to Duka. What do you think of the formation we're playing now? I mean, going forward against Man City, obviously against Liverpool, we probably played more of a 4-3-3 with Rupp, Lees Malou, and
Gilmore.
Billy Gilmore being that engine in the middle. Do you think we're going to play the 4-3-3 again against Man City? I think going forward, I'd like to see us play the 4-2-3-1, but 4-3-3 again against Man City.
Obviously, I was crying out for a 4-3-3 before Liverpool happened, and I was disappointed by it. And obviously, the one thing I said to you at our time was that was a hole that needed filling, that number 10 role. So I want to see us play the 4-2-3-1 because I think we do. As much as we wanted to set up defensively against teams, the only thing that wins you games in football is goals. And we need to have an attacking outlet to help us get those goals. And we need that number 10 position filled. So for me, I think, yeah, we do need to drop that 4-3-3 formation as good as it is defensively. And yeah, just start 4-2-3-1. And like Noah just said, you just put that in, go at them like Tottenham. Exactly. That says everything. Just go at Man City because they're not used to teams putting them under pressure. And yeah, when a team does put them under pressure, you saw what happened last time. We won 3-2, and I think Max has nailed it on the head.
Yeah, I think when you looked at the Liverpool game, we needed to match them up in terms of the intensity and the work rate in the middle of the pitch. But that doesn't necessarily that doesn't mean you can't have a number 10 in there who can break beyond and get himself in the box. So yeah, in terms of the team, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Tim Krul in goal. Keep the same back four. I thought Giannoulis was the man of the match. He was excellent. And
Hanley and Gibson was still good. I think they were still good. Yeah. Hanley, he hasn't played pre-season. Wasn't his greatest game, but he weren't bad. He still looked like a Premier League centre half. And I'm seeing a lot of Ben Gibson slander. I thought out of the two centre halves, he was fantastic. I thought Ben Gibson was fantastic. He was cutting out balls. Stopping balls getting across because you know how quick Liverpool are on the counter, they can slip a ball in. He was cutting out loads of them. Gibson was class, and Maxi Aarons. Need I say more?
Quality. And then in that midfield area, Billy Gilmore,
Lees Malou.
And who's in that number 10 now, mate? Lucas Rupp? Do you put him a bit further forward?
Yeah,
or do you go with Cantwell, maybe?
Oh, God. This is difficult because there's so many attacking options now. I'm just hoping we've got a few injuries, so it might kind of makes it a bit easier. But no.
I don't hope so, mate.
I'm already used to that. I'd start with Lucas Rupp. I think his link-up play will be pivotal to kind of just opening up that Man City defence, and then he can feed balls into whoever is playing up front. Obviously, my answer probably be a bit different to yours, but then I'll play Rashica on the right to get at Mendy because Mendy's a liability.
That's one battle. That's one battle I was going to say just after this, where I think Norwich City could really exploit because Rashica promising signs.
Oh, yeah, he was turning when he was on the left hand side against Alexander-Arnold. He was turning him on his arse and turning Tsimikas on his arse. It was beautiful to see. And then I think Cantwell on the upper wing. I'm going to stick with Cantwell. I think he can create anything out of nothing. So I'll stick with Cantwell there, and up front. Jordan Hughes, no, Josh Sargent. I think someone who's going to be a bit quicker. I think quality-wise, Adam Eder and Sargent are very similar players, but I think quality-wise, Sargent just has that edge over Eder. So I want to see, Sargent play up front.
Yeah, I think for me, for me, spoke about the back four: Lees Malou, Billy Gilmore. I do promise I really like Lucas Rook, but for me, I'd actually try something a bit different. Maybe go Todd Cantwell in that midfield, in that central area. You could also, there's a fluidity there. You can play Josh Sargent perhaps and move him into that kind of number 10 role. I'd go Cantwell, and I would go Rashita. Josh Sargent on one wing. I like to see him start, and Pookie up front. That's for me, mate.
Yeah, obviously Josh Sargent can start on the wing as well, so there is always that. He's very, very versatile player, and I think.
And that's what I want to see. I just want to see us have a bit of pace, and just as Noah said, just go at them.
Yeah, I do want to see Rashitsa and Sargent play together because obviously they've got the chemistry and sort of cohesion that they had at Werder Bremen. Obviously, Werder Bremen had been absolute dog shit last season, but obviously they know how each other played, and the system that Daniel Farke plays suits attacking players like them too. So I think, if they play together, I reckon we could see maybe a few goals.
I find it quite hilarious in many ways how Norwich have this vast network of scouting, and we've signed 2 players from the same club in Germany and 2 players from the same club in Greece.
I know. We've gone from having 18, I feel like 18 Germans in the squad to 2. We've only got Rupp and Zimmerman left.
Is that it, really?
I had a look the other day. I was like, geez, where are they all gone? All the Germans can't be signed anymore.
All the Scots now, mate. All the Scots.
Yeah, Kenny McLean, Grant Hanley, Billy Gilmore.
Yeah.
And rest, if there is some.
Yeah, probably a couple more. No, I think we've summed that really well, mate. Yes, I think we're going to move over to some questions now. There's a few which has come in. One interesting one, Marcus Royal put in a question earlier. Any transfer news? Yeah, now, there's been some transfer news, and one player who's being linked.
I've been crying out for this for ages as well. Been crying out for this transfer.
This man.
Yeah. Yep. Crying out for this transfer.
Gary Cahill, guys, let us know in the comments what you think about this transfer. Ducker, Gary Cahill.
I think when Gary Cahill was released from Chelsea, I think it's a season we might have come up. I remember he was a free agent then. We were crying out for a centre-half of Premier League experience. That's the last time he came out. I said, Gary Cahill. Everyone laughed at me. But now we're looking back on it. He's been released by Palace. He was right at Palace. But why wouldn't we take him? He's Premier League experience. He can, take on Obama under his wing. And, Grant Hanley and Ben Gibson will obviously be our 2 pairing. But if Hanley's injury prone, so is Ben Gibson. If one of them picks up an injury, we don't want to rely on Christoph Zimmerman because realistically, Christoph Zimmerman, he ain't that level. Gary Cahill, on the other hand, if Hanley or Gibson get injured and we've got Gary Cahill coming in, I won't be annoyed. I'd be happy with that.
And if you look at it as well, in someone in Grant Hanley, he was someone who was, from my memory, when I watched him at Blackburn and Newcastle, very clumsy on the ball. And you look at someone like Gary Cahill, so much experience, decent on the ball, by the way. And Daniel Farke can turn players who maybe aren't necessarily great on the ball into ball playing centre-backs. And I don't think he really needs to turn Gary Cahill. He's got that experience. But for me, Gary Cahill is someone who brings experience, as you say, can take Omar under his wing on a 2-year contract. I think it makes so much sense. I've seen he's been linked with Bournemouth in the Championship. Would he go back to the Championship? Would he go to Scotland? I don't think so. I think this is such a good opportunity.
Because he'll get minutes as well. He'll 100% get minutes in Norwich because one of these centre-halves is going to get injured. So getting Gary Cahill while we can, because it's a no-brainer. And I think that's going to get done over the line as well. I do believe I've seen a lot of reports about it at the minute. The links have obviously started picking up. I think we just wanted to get Sargent and Zolis transfers out of the way before we even look at the whole centre-back, CDM, left-back situation. We've got Brandon Williams linked with us, and I think we're still going to sign a CDM as well. But, Gary Cahill has to be the man for us. For me, he has to be.
Yeah, I think Gary Cahill's 34, 35. So, of course, he's good. This is someone who doesn't fit the Norwich City transfer mold. We like to sign players from unproven leagues. We like to sign players who are young and then kind of develop them. So this is someone who doesn't necessarily fit the Norwich City kind of mold in terms of transfers before. But this is a really important. It's a really important. Go on, sorry, mate.
I think we have to sign Cahill. I think we've got so many players in this team that don't have Premier League experience. We're crying out for someone who's a bit more mature, who can kind of be a voice in the dressing room. a bit of a wise old man sort of voice that can also still play really well, has Premier League experience. Gary Cahill is the
very good
ideal
at Palace.
person.
Very good at Palace.
Exactly, very good at Palace, and obviously he took a wage cut there. I'm pretty sure if he does need to take a wage cut, he'll take it here. And he's obviously joining for free as well. It's just for me, it's just a no-brainer.
Yeah, and it's really important that one of the stumbling blocks might be the wage bill, but there's two really important things to consider. A, it's going to be on a free transfer, so I think I spoke about this maybe in the last video. We buy Ben Gibson for £8 million. If we have him for 5-6 years, that means we're essentially paying 1.5 million every year we have Ben Gibson. In Gary Cahill, you're not paying anything on the transfer fee, and although on wages he would be at the expensive end, if Norwich City can afford it, and if it doesn't completely throw away the wage bracket, go for it, because he's only going to be here for 2 years, in my opinion, 2 years max. So in the short term, as you say, Ducker, it just makes so much sense.
And those 2 years could be vital for Norwich as well. We could stay up this season through having a centre-half like Gary Cahill at the club, and the next season push for a proper mid-table finish and start pushing up the top half. And if Gary Cahill is there for that and helps us do that, that then gives us a bigger transfer budget after those 2 seasons to sign someone really, really good at centre-half.
Another thing as well is mentality. I think if you look at Rashita and Josh Sargent, really good players, but got relegated. In Gary Cahill, he is a serial winner. He is a serial winner. And I think that mentality, someone who's going to come in and be a real leader, teach the younger players.
He's going to drill those players, isn't he?
Yeah, it just stinks of survival, mate.
Absolutely reeks of it, honks of it.
Reeks 17th, Gary Cahill.
Oh, I love it. I can't wait for Gary Cahill to join that.
I think we're going to finish with one final question, Ducker. And we spoke about it at the beginning of the video in terms of the...
I've got an unserious one and a serious one. So
we'll take those two. But yeah, as we said at the beginning of the video, I mean, the result was kind of secondary. It was so good to see a community together. 27,000 fans, young and old. And as you said, seeing people again in your row for the first time in 18 months, it was just really good to have and I was walking around the city earlier on in the day as well, and to see lots of families out. People of all different ages, considering everything that's happened in the last 18 months. It was brilliant to see. Best moment of the day. I want to start firstly in terms of a funny one. We obviously get in the ground. The ground is rocking. We're singing loads. And then Farker's on a horse comes in at about the first half. And, Farker's on a horse. We've got a great team to support. We've got, and then there's just a murmur around the whole
blah 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 and crawl. I think a few of the boys around me, we decided Rashitsa, Cantwell and Crawl.
I like that,
at a minute. So but yeah, that was comical.
Yeah, so that was my favorite moment. But yeah, on a serious note, just seeing the on the ball City at 5:30 was something special. And as you said, it's the loudest I think I've heard it. Spine tingling stuff. Great to see all the flags as well. Just a really good day. Ducker, best moment of the day for you. I'm interested in hearing these stories.
I'll give the unserious one was getting into bed in the evening. Absolutely smashed, and also hungover at the same time. I had that come the end of the game. I was like, Christ, I just need to get to bed.
I feel like my body's about 10 years older than what it was.
Yeah, I felt that. I just felt very, very, very weak. Feel fine now, which is all right. But yeah, that was for me. That was unserious best moment of the day. But on a serious, it was. I think the on the ball City was absolutely fantastic. But just seeing my mates again, going back to football with them, and just having a good time, having a few beers. Wish my liver was in a better state than what it was beforehand. But it was a fantastic day. I think the result didn't matter too much to the fans. We knew it's Liverpool. We know it's not going to be the easiest task. We know we're probably going to lose, but we're there to have a good day. We're there to give it our all, and that's what we did, and we're happy with it. So. Yeah. I'll roll on Man City away.
Yeah, that's it, mate. And yeah, we had City till I die kind of going around as well towards the end. That's what it's all about. Finally, Ducker, I just want to end then. You're going to the Etihad next Saturday. Give me your final thoughts, your predictions. You really got me, you really got my hairs going last week when you were speaking about Josh Sargent scoring the winner against Liverpool. Didn't quite happen, but talk me through what's going to happen against Man City, mate.
So what's going to happen against Man City is going to be a similar sort of story. Man, well, do you know what? It's not actually. It's going to be a completely different story.
Ooh,
Just thought of something now. Man City going to take the lead. They're going
really?
1-0 up in about the 43rd minute, just before half time. Jack Grealish is going to score a penalty after diving, and in a fashionable way as he does, and flicks his hair back as he will. And in the second half, Ben Gibson receives a yellow card for absolutely snapping Jack Grealish in half, absolutely snapping him. Grealish has to go off injured. He's absolutely fine, though. He's back next game. It was only a dead leg. But Gibson absolutely snaps him. It's about the 70th minute now. Josh Sargent is still on the pitch. Lucas Rupp has the ball in the number 10 area. He puts it over Diaz. Diaz falls on his ass because he doesn't know what to do. Sargent is in behind and just dinks it over Edison. And it's 1-0 in the 70th minute. And now Sargent's gone off. Jordan Hugols has come off the bench. Jordan Hugols is off the bench. It's the 93rd minute. We somehow miraculously have won a corner because Zolis has decided to run the length of the pitch and just hit it against Diaz's foot. It's gone out for a corner. Billy Gilmore is taking this corner. It's right next to the away fans as well. He's giving it this, getting the away fans cheered up. Whips it in, and Jordan Hugols bangs it in. So, he crowd surfs into the away end. Limbs are everywhere. And it's going to be crazy. We're going to win 2-1.
I love that, Duka. Thank you very much again. And of course, subscribe to Duka. The link in the channel is in the description. And check out his match day experience, which will be uploaded in about an hour or so.
Yeah,
so
about an hour or so.
Yeah.
About an hour or so, be up.
Thank you, everyone, for all the support on the live stream and, of course, watching and catch up. Thank you. And yeah, we'll see you next week for the NCC show where we'll be talking about Jordan Hugo's last-minute winner against Man City. Thanks for watching. We'll see you
later, guys.